Hello, everyone. I'm Roxy B and I am your host and MC of this Embracing Disability Awareness Summit. And it's not just a summit, it's my company. I own a media company, and this media company came to me. Well, it came to me about 12 years ago when I sat with my spiritual teacher, because God is my everything, my heart and my world. And I sat with my spiritual teacher, and he used to scold me and say, "You need to embrace your disability as your disability." But I didn't know 12 to 15 years ago, while we did that, and I was doing work to heal myself and become the woman I am today, that I was going to own a company that wasn't even called Embracing Disability. It was called Inspiring Disability, because I wanted to inspire the world to see more. And now the company is actually called Embracing Disability. And there's a tagline that you'll hear today that says, "A hug knows no disability." So I may look like I'm a typical everyday human being, which I am, yet there's quite a bit that happens within my body. So about 5 years ago, I skidded on ice in my car. I knew that I was on ice. I have to take a drink because we're human. I skidded on ice in my car, and I heard them kept on saying, "Be careful, it's your neck. Be careful with your neck." I'm laying in an ambulance. My clothes are all ripped up, and I'm cut, and there's blood everywhere, everywhere. And I don't know what was wrong. I think they gave me morphine, and thank God, because I just went, oh, and laid back down on that slab, and I'm being rushed to a hospital somewhere. They said I was speaking. I don't know. I woke up on December 28th. The car accident happened on December 26th. My head was killing me. I had a catheter in. I'm in a hospital. There's 6 women around my bed, and I'm being told, "Be careful, it's your neck." My face is hurting. I'm swollen. I have a neck collar on. "Be careful, it's your neck." When I woke up, they basically said, "We're going to get you a walker. You may never walk normal again. You may never do this normal again. Here's a phone, by the way, call, because you're going to need to go on disability." Well, um, hello, I'm Roxy B, and I was disabled when I was born. And I didn't know about that disability, and my parents didn't know, because it was 1973, and I had a leg discrepancy on my right foot that was an inch and a half to 2 inches bigger than shorter than my left foot. So they knew that I had that. Yep, that happened. And then they had to get me a heel lift on my shoe, and it was about that big. And I had to walk with a little bit of a gait, but it was supposed to give me balance. um I actually rewatched an episode of Little House on the Prairie, where there was a little girl who had the same discrepancy that I had. And then the father of the Ingle girls built the shoe and gave her a willing, able to play and live life. And the father didn't like that, but then he saw the joy that it gave the daughter, and he had a change of heart. Grandmother was like, "Yeah, do this." So, I now have a leg discrepancy in school. I couldn't color in the lines, and they were like, "Oh, something's wrong with your child. Yeah, we're going to label her." Well, they said, "Well, now we need to give her a bunch of testing and give her special classes." And, so I've been labeled since I was about 3.5 with the shoe lift. And then from 5 years old, I was a little girl who couldn't color in the lines. Yeah, that was me. Couldn't color in the lines. That's when they said, "Oh, she's got a problem. Oh, something is wrong with her." So, sometimes you're accepted, and sometimes you're embraced, but sometimes you're not. And so I moved to Arizona, where the wild wild west, and they were the cruelest that you could be. And they saw my heel lift, and they saw that I had to be pulled out for special classes. right? And so now I'm told I'm labeled, I'm dumb, I'm this. So by the time I'm like a 9, 10-year-old child, I am now told that I really am not a functional human being and I can't really live. Then I go home and I'm told the same thing. Oh boy, how wonderful. My brother hates me and wants to beat me up all the time, possibly even harm me, and he did. And even he was like, "Oh, let's go and play with the stupid sister." And he put his rubber bands from his paper route. It's a great memory of mine from his paper route, and dragged me around the house and would welts up and down my back. I can't walk. I can't move very well. I can't move very fast. And I'm the dumb sister. And he thinks that it would even be more brilliant to bruise me and welt me up. I don't know how much trouble he got into, but I don't think much because my parents were wackadoo. Poor parents, they tried their hardest, right? So, you know, I'm labeled, but here's the fun. When I turned, well, when I was in elementary school, I could write, even though I couldn't write very well, I could write interesting things because I was psychic and I didn't know. And I was kind of a medium. And I was like talking about future stuff because I didn't know that God gave me all these cool gifts about verbal. And I had all these ideas running in my head because if y'all work with me, I have like 25 ideas that are coming at me all at once. And so when I had all these ideas in my head, I would write about them. And then I started winning awards and like, so it's like, how is this girl who's not capable so capable? So by the time I hit high school, I'm looking at the teachers and saying, no, 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 no. You're not going to kick me out of classrooms. You're not going to tell me I can't be in leadership. I want to be, I want to be a leader too. And at 14 and a half, 15, I'm doing systematic change, leadership. And I'm talking about being a human being while you're all telling me, no, you can't be that. We can be everything. I became a community relations director where I actually helped people with disabilities who had spinal cord injury, mental health, get programs, get all sorts of services because I could and I have talent. That's the whole thing. We think people with disabilities, because we see a certain way, is limited. We could be limitless if you included us into societal ways. And don't say, oh, you're not allowed here and you're not allowed there. You do this when you can't even get into a restaurant and go to the toilet. You do this when you can't even get onto that high top chair. But I wanted more and I wanted more for others. So when I hit that head and I hurt my face, I had this download that this program was going to happen. And it's here and it's today. I have a magazine. You're going to hear from my marketing person. You're going to hear from my coach. You're going to hear from my colleagues. I have a magazine. I wrote in some books. I've made coloring books that are coming. I have a confidence journal. I have a TV show on another platform. And Barbara and I are going to have a big reveal for you in a couple of months. And I'm having my first summit today. Because you know what? Barbara and I planned this summit on our own together, working really hard. And here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you're labeled. It doesn't matter if you think that this person is not qualified. Even recently, people told me I was a gaslighter. I should have no business talking about my disability. Why? Because you can't see it. You can't see my learning disabilities. You can't see my leg. You can't see the surgery that they did and hurt my leg. What? You can't see it and you don't understand that it might take me a little while longer. It might take me longer. You guys might get all a little bit overwhelmed because I have so many ideas and creativity. And how does that all happen? But look at the creativity that has happened here. Look at the creativity that's happening in the world, right? That despite people rectifying, telling me how to live my life, telling me that I couldn't do my life, I live my life now. Thank God. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't be a massage therapist. Oh, yes, I became a massage therapist and I do therapy work. And it's amazing. And I have an intuition that I can feel pain on people's bodies and I can get you through that. It is truly amazing. So the point of this is see disability differently. There's a link at the bottom because there's a cool company called No Limits Media. They literally gave me the opportunity to collect donations through them being my fiscal agent. If you could find it in your heart today to donate, if you could find it, we're going to be doing some amazing programs with people with disabilities so they can see more and believe in themselves like I did. There's more to that story about how I got there and who helped me. And we'll get to that at another time in another future. But I bless you for being here. Thank you. Thanks you for hearing my story. And let's continue the show. This is going to be great today.
This is love. You belong here. Right here. Right now. Love is the moment you feel seen, sharing what you mean. It's a quiet that feels like home. You feel held wherever you roam. It's a breath that fills your chest, a shining light that brings you rest. This is love, a heart open wide and steady. This is love, meeting you where you're ready. Gentle hands, open and true. This is love. Oh, this is love. Love is a space that lets you grow as you are, wherever you go. It's a kindness, warm and sure, and a welcome that endures. It's a voice that says you belong here, unknown and felt when hearts are clear. This is love, living here in the moment. This is love, holding grace as a promise, here and now, clear and bright. This is love. This is love. This is love. Love is patient, love is kind. It sees the soul before the mind. It stays present, it stays true. Love is alive in me and you. This is love, soft and strong together. This is love, binding hearts forever. Open eyes, open view. This is love. This is This is love.
Hey, hey.
Hey, hey, my sister friend. Welcome to the Embracing Disability Summit. You know how many times we talk about these things and we're here?
We have so many conversations.
I know, right? She's my
They're
marketing
all
manager.
really a lot of tea spilling. and a lot of treasure,
Mm-hmm. And I call her my marketing genius. But today she's gonna talk with me around tech and mwah, she's gonna talk with me around tech and the real truth around websites. Liz, there's a lot of hustle and bustle and hug-a-bug about, or hugaboo, whatever they call it, around, oh my god, there's gonna be a lawsuit. And if you don't put together a website that's accessible, somebody with a disability is going to sue you. Now, I'm disabled, and I know that you know how to put together websites pretty brilliantly. And I
Thank
don't think
you.
my website is going to be a lawsuit anytime soon, and I
Well,
have a disability one. So, can
it
you
could be.
share with the audience about why people have this hugaboo around web accessibility?
So people, what's crazy is that I think a misconception about websites owners that do get sued for inaccessibility or accessibility issues on their website, you're not often getting sued by anybody that has a disability. You're getting sued by attorneys seeing you being slightly incompliant or non-compliant. So what's really crazy about website accessibility is that I would say no website is 100% WCAG compliant, and that's the website compliance that
Mm,
exists for website accessibility. But there are ways of increasing your compliance and best practices to implement whenever you're working on your website, like just
mhm.
little things you can do to make it less maddening for somebody that does have to rely on like a screen reader or like any sort of assistive
Inclusive,
technology.
friendly.
Yeah, like you said, keeping people like you at the
Absolutely.
party, you know?
Right. So exactly, because we all need to be included in the party. And what would a party be like without a Roxy B rocker in
Way boring.
it?
Not a
Way
party I
boring.
want to go to. You're one
And
of the best people everybody
it's
should know, irrelevant, but we're putting it in.
what
You are so
what
fun to go out to dinner with in general. Like you are
I know,
so
right?
fun out. Like Roxy here is inspiring, and that's you are.
Right,
But like
right.
out, hilarious and
I'm
out of
I
control,
am a fun dinner
so
host. Yes.
fun. Yeah, you're out of your mind. I love it. We have
Yeah,
so much fun. We do.
I love going out. Going out is fun. Can you also tell us why? I know I'm so sorry, but we are having a little bit of technical difficulty, and that just happens. We go with the flow and we roll with it. So, could you also tell us some great tech tips that might be really helpful for universal design, which means everyone can use it and it's not just a person with a disability? Can you give us some great tech tips, Liz? Because you're just brilliant at that.
Thank you. Well, what's really funny about this is I think a really under communicated metaphor for websites is I feel like if you ever think about what like professional organizers do with your pantry is like if you want to go get something from your pantry in your kitchen, if you don't know where the snacks are or like the spices are or the pasta or the beans, it's going to take you a really long time to make dinner. So, like, if your website is akin to a very messy pantry in that things are
Mhm.
not labeled, things are not organized, it's kind of like a circus and nobody knows what to click or what to do. That it can be that intuitive, like as far as like when you're thinking about accessible design, as just thinking, how do I organize and label things as neatly as possible so that way it's just easy for everyone. So you don't even have to think, what disability am I compensating for? It's nothing like that. It's more about how can I label everything? How can I make things really, really tidy so that it's really easy for people to get what they want?
Brilliant. If you could give us a gift, a something, right? That would be great wisdom, great knowledge for people to carry with them
Yeah.
today. What would that be, my darling?
Well, I think in the way of accessibility on your website, this is a really simple one.
Mm,
Rather than saying click here, like people always say click
mm,
here for blah blah blah, click here for blah blah blah. If you don't say what it's for, it's a
mm,
non-descriptive link. So having not vague links on your website and also limiting your menu to 7 items is a really good tip. That's just also because, back in the day, in the before times, phone numbers used to be 7 digits And so if you think
7.
about those before times, that also correlates to the number of
Mhm.
items that we remember on a grocery list psychologically before we start to forget things. So then when you look at it in terms of website design, which
Oh,
is really just organizing content, if you limit your menu to 7 items, it's going to be less likely to overwhelm somebody's brain. So that way they don't have to keep choosing and thinking, where do I belong? Where do I belong? It becomes more like, oh, it becomes easier and not using clever words. People get like, they want to name their blog like the Magic Kingdom of Wisdom of, just stop it. Just call it a blog. Like, why? It's just gotta stop. So less cleverness. I always say clarity over cleverness wins every single time.
creativity. Yeah. Let it be easy. I like
Let it
things with
be.
ease, especially when we're thinking about having inclusion and having adaptability. I like things that have ease. I think that that really makes it really absolutely wonderful and helpful out in the world. And it cracks me up when I like always hear, oh, if you didn't do it this way, it wasn't the right thing. I think, if we at least even put it together and we
Mm-hmm.
have something out there, there's inclusion can always mean an adaptability and accessibility. There's room for improvement.
Always. You never
So,
you're never going to be 100% accessible, but there's stuff you could do every single day to increase your website accessibility. Because a lot of times it's hard for website owners or business owners oftentimes to keep a pace with making sure every bit of content is accessible. So that's why I also a lot of times to my clients will recommend a company called Accessibility, which
mm,
it's the lazy website owners accessibility tactic, but basically it ensures that, if you have like a spot on your website that you forgot to take the extra steps to make it really, really accessible. If you get Accessibe, which is spelled ACCESSIBE, and you can learn more about it at lizteresa.com/accessibe. It will, it's a service that adds different utilitarian functions in order to like, improve the color variation on your website, because there's such thing as like hard to read text on top of a different color background. Like you want to make sure that it's meeting like an easy on your eyes color ratio. Like a lot of times dark backgrounds are hard with people with like astigmatism even, like, so like having all of that be part of it. I mean, even when I'm designing websites for older adults, which I like to call older adults and not senior citizens, because sometimes they don't like that. I will always, make sure that the text is not like tiny, tiny, even though
mhm.
traditionally website text like is like, I don't know, 14 pixels is what we usually do, but like I usually like it bigger. So I I like to design it like 16, and then I hand it to Zach, who gets to build all the things
It's
that we
been
make.
14 points. It's been 14 point 80s.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
actually, and then when I was in high school,
Um,
essays had to be 12.
and oh yeah,
Super
but I
small.
could never read them at 12. I had to do 14.
Mm.
Yeah. Sometimes they would let me. Sometimes they'd be like, "No, do it at 12." I'm like, "I can't see it." Can I? But you didn't know. But computers were just coming out.
Yes.
We were moving from typewriters to word processors to computers. So like, so who knew? Who
Yeah.
knew? But
I
I mean,
remember
I think,
floppy days, floppy disk days.
oh yeah, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that we have come a long way. I
Hmm.
think that there is still more to do, but I don't think that we have to have the fear base
No. Although I do
so
know somebody
much.
that got sued, so people do get sued. But it wasn't my client. They ended up coming to me out of desperation, and there is an attorney that I now know in the state of Massachusetts that can assist somebody that does get sued. So it does happen, but when it
Mhm.
happens, it's one attorney that's suing like 1,000 small businesses at once, and it's just winning a bad lottery. Like if you do get sued for it, but also, I mean, I think best practices, they'll never keep you from getting sued, but it'll make you a better person. And it's important. I mean, you wrote an article the other day, and I know I don't want to take up all the time, but Roxy, you wrote this article the other day about AI and disability, and you said this thing in it that I think is really important.
But what did I
That,
say?
oh, well, you said, I loved it, so I'll tell everybody what you said, but you said it's really what's one of the problems with AI is that a lot of the people at the table, I mean, AI is really just what engineers are putting into it. It's really just a
Mm-hmm.
collection of, it's a data set. But if disabled voices are not part of that data set,
Yes.
or if they're not the ones choosing what am I telling the AI is important or is of value, then the
Yes.
AI is not going to have that as part of their equation when they're delivering solutions or answers, which is why AI data has so much algorithmic bias, which is really
Mm-hmm.
just they're biased because they're just based on what other people have put into it. So that's why you said it's really important for disabled voices to be at that table and ideally
Correct.
in the room, being
Right.
the people doing it. Yeah, because otherwise everything is biased. That's why, we need to use so much discernment, not just with the website accessibility stuff, but with using tools like that, which can be great tools for assistive technology. I see that there's so much potential in the world of AI for assistive technology, but only if disabled voices are the ones at the table coming up with the ideas or even saying, yes, I like this, or no, I don't.
And super important
Yes.
because, when, like I was saying in my origin story, that, I wasn't allowed at the leadership table. They were saying, no, you're not allowed to be here. You're going to slow us all down. No, we don't want your input, and I'm like, why? What did I do wrong?
Mm,
Where did I go wrong? How did that not work out? And I think that that is like super duper important. And I don't know how, I don't know how and why that it's still a problem that people don't do that. Liz, this was delightful.
yeah.
I really appreciate your tech tips. I hope that someday we'll have a tech summit with lots of people talking about tech things and
That'd be
accessibility
fun.
and accommodations. Yes. So thank
Coming
you
up
again.
next week. I'm just kidding.
No, not next week. Thank you. But in
Thanks
the
for having me.
future, very near.
Yes.
Again, we have the support embracing disability link. If you could please go to that link and give some kind of love today. We have a lot of programs that we need to build, even fashion and accessible opportunities for people with disabilities to build confidence and grow in their speaking ability. Um, Thank you again for your time and thank you for being here. It's so much appreciation. Well, hello, and thank you so much. I'm so glad that you've returned. And I have a lovely next guest. Her name is Kate Powers, and she is an educational specialist. She works in the Boston School District, and she does so many other wonderful things. And she's an author of some incredible children's books. I am not going to be interviewing her, I am going to let her take the floor.
Thank you so much, Roxy. It's so exciting to be here. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of Embracing Disabilities Awareness Summit. I am Kate Powers. I am an educator in Boston Public Schools. I've been working in inclusive classrooms for 10 plus years. But really, my journey in understanding disability and inclusion began as a child. So I grew up in a home where my maternal grandmother lived with us, and she lived with us because she had been suffering from osteoporosis since her 20s. And so by the time I was born, when she was, in her 60s, late 50s, she was no longer able to, and hadn't been able to, navigate the world as a able-bodied being. She was usually confined to a wheelchair and spent months in the hospital. And so that was normal for us growing up, to have that as part of what our day-to-day involved. It involved a wheelchair. It involved living in an apartment in the city. We're in a triple decker, and so on the third floor. And so understanding that she did not have access to the world. She was not able to climb the stairs, and she would be carried out when it was time to go to the hospital. So that's, my earliest experiences. Then I had experiences with invisible disability. My grandmother's physical challenges were very obvious to the world. Then growing up, understanding that some of the people that I cared about in my family struggled to read, struggled with attention, struggled in other areas. And so seeing how people treated that invisible disability, the, dyslexia, ADHD, what we, kind of call reading-based disabilities and neurodivergency. And so those experiences shaped how I understood how the world perceives and interacts with. And then I became a parent, became a mom, and my understanding of both of those things became very different. Now, both of my children are able-bodied, but they experience the world in a very different way. And so having those experiences as a parent allowed me to see the side of the challenge that I had not yet seen. Yes, I knew my grandmother struggled. Yes, I knew people in my family struggled with reading, with the way they were treated, the names they were called. But to see a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, my 4-year-old struggling to navigate the world and to be completely overwhelmed by it, and what that overwhelm looked like. That overwhelm would completely hijack my son's system and take over and put him in fight or flight. And so as a mom to this young child, I was always concerned about safety. One of the, moments I remember most as his mom, and where I really became an advocate in figuring out what he needed to be safe in the world and to be to function, to experience the world. We were in town in Boston, and we had gone to a family lunch. There was a gang of us at PF Chang down in the theater district. And again, because I'm human, I need a sip of water. We had a lovely lunch. We're leaving PF Chang's. I did not realize that PF Chang is basically soundproof. When you're enjoying your dinner or lunch there, you're not aware of the sound and the hustle and bustle of the city. Excuse me. When I opened that door with my 4-year-old, We were hit with a wall of sound. It was now dusk. We were hit with a wall of light. All of the cars now had their headlights on. The theater district had lit up. And I watched in a half a second my son's face change. You could see the shift of his brain through his eyes and his facial expression. And he bolted. Uh, he bolted like a wild animal fleeing from a hunter. And I caught up to him right before he hit Tremont Street, going full tilt, full speed. He did not see cars. He did not see the traffic. He did not see anything. All he was trying to do was escape. So I was able to grab him. And the people around us, they didn't really see what happened before. And so they just think that I jumped on top of this kid. And so I kept saying out loud, John, it's Mom. I'm just trying to keep you safe. You can't run into traffic. And because I understood that the people around me didn't have the same understanding of the experience of what was happening that I did. So then we spent the next 2 hours sitting on one of the park benches in Boston Common because he took that long to decompress, to come back to his self. And all of this to say that I entered my education career showing up, having these daily life experiences as a mom. And it shaped my understanding of what can be a root cause of things. A lot of times when we think about access in a classroom, it's about academic accommodations, it's about accessibility, as we heard from Liz and Roxy, around technology, around font size, around having a speaker. There's lots of different ways, making space for a wheelchair. And while universal design for learning is all of those things, it is also having routines, having an understanding, having systems in place that allow children with invisible disabilities as well as with visible disabilities access. A child that has been hijacked by anxiety, by their nervous system, by whatever number of things, trauma, it doesn't matter. But if that child is showing up to learning dysregulated, then they are not able to access whatever it is you're trying to teach them. And so I came to education and developed in my teaching over the past decade plus from this place of understanding with this kind of lens. And so I encourage other folks, other educators, but really to show up with curiosity as opposed to judgment or criticism. And so not every child that is behavioral or having a behavior or exhibiting a less than desired response is just trying to give you a hard time. Oftentimes, they're having a hard time, and it is our job as the caregiver, as the adult in the room, as the educator, to really make space for that child to come back to a regulated state. The brain, whether you're a child or an adult, if your brain is hijacked, if your nervous system is dysregulated, you do not have accessibility to the part of your brain where learning happens. And so emotional state matters because emotional state is attached to how your nervous system responds. Fight, flight, fawn, all of that is directly related to how accessible your brain is to learn. And I would encourage, as we're navigating the world, there's a lot more talk around neurodivergence, being neurodivergent, understanding people who have a form of neurodivergence. And what that really can look like out in the greater world is curiosity. And I don't mean go up and ask, hey, are you neurodivergent? I don't mean that. I mean, instead of coming from a place of judgment, come from a place of, huh, that's too bad they're having a hard time, right? A child that is having a meltdown in a public space is not, maybe it is because they want the Oreo, the toy, the cookie, whatever it is. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's that their system is overwhelmed and they're struggling. And that family could use some understanding and grace. And so that's really what I show up with, is curiosity. And so I've taught many, many, many different versions, what people would say, of students with disabilities. And what I do is show up with curiosity. And what I look for my own children and for my students, is access. What's the entry point? What's, kind of the problem to solve is access. And so I use it as a puzzle to be curious around how can we create the opportunity, create an opening for a child to have access to enter into our educational conversation. And a lot of times it means paying attention to the tiny little moments. Most children are not doing things for no reason. Most children, if you're watching a nonverbal autistic student play, it's very intentional if you're paying attention. So if we're able to look at the patterns of interaction with people, with engaging with classroom materials, if we are tuned into the way that they communicate, because if we are able to understand that children are going to show you that they are paying attention, they are not wanting to not have access. They are there with you. And so I think that is really, what is at the root of accessibility and inclusion, is being aware of what the access and entry points are for all of your students, the children in your care, and the humans you interact with on a daily basis.
Kate, this was really impactful, and I really truly appreciate how much you poured into the community. And hopefully, this could really help some families and some parents, and even just human beings in the world where we're trying to break down societal norms. The other thing that I want to do is say thank you so much to you, because you were a sponsor of this wonderful event. And we want you to talk about the 5-step process before we move on.
Sure.
Yeah, can you talk about that book really quickly?
Absolutely. So I am an author, as was noted, and so I do write children's books, and I also write for women who are coming through hard times, based on my own experiences. And really, it's just good practice for anyone looking to make a shift in their life. And so the 5 steps to reset is around being able to identify where you are in your current situation in an honest way,
Okay.
which is scary, right? And so that's the work that I do, is I support usually women in creating a safe space and holding the container to take that deep dive look. And then understanding what your core values are. right? Because if we can understand what really matters to us, what speaks to our soul, what speaks
Mhm.
to what we connect with the world, and what matters truly at the root of things, then making the connection between what is current in our life and where they tie into our core values, and then setting some boundaries around where if you're not experiencing your daily parts of your daily life and that are connected to your core values, there's going to be some struggle there. There's going to be some dissatisfaction.
Where
And
do they find this book?
this is available at katepowerscreates.com/5 steps.
You have been wonderful as the rest of our speakers, and I think this summit is very going very, very well. And I really want to thank you again for being a sponsor. I want to thank you again for speaking, and I just want to thank you for being in my life. Very much appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on in our Embracing Disabilities Summit, and I hope you're enjoying this morning very much and to the afternoon. Wherever you are in the world, it could be morning, it could be afternoon, it could even be nighttime. But thank you for tuning in. There is a link down below. We're going to talk about that in a little while. And our next person coming up is a recorded wonderful story from Sheldon Crocker, who is an inspirational author and he does a lot of transformative work in the disability world. We are going to be sharing his story, and we thank you again for tuning in. We're so happy you're here. Hello, hello. It's Roxy B Rocker, and we are today at the Embracing Disability Awareness Summit. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have an amazing guest. We've met online and we've had some chit chats together, and I am just so grateful to know this gentleman. And I'm going to introduce you to Sheldon Crocker, and he is going to share his amazing story. And if I messed up his name, he will correct it for me, because with my brain injury, sometimes that happens. So, Sheldon, welcome, and thank you so much for choosing to be here. Will you please tell the audience everything that they need to know about you?
Thank you so much for having me here. I believe we should all embrace our disability. I started off by saying that I do not have a disability. I have disability to overcome obstacles. I have disability to succeed, and we all do, if we believe in ourselves. So you'll never be more than a disabled welfare bum. These are the words my father often told me growing up. Words like that can stay with a child for a long time. They can make you feel small before you even know who you are. And when those words are spoken over a life that is already marked by visible challenges, it becomes very easy for other people to think they already know your future. Thank you for having me here today, tonight, this morning, whatever time you're listening.
This morning, whatever.
My name is Sheldon S. Crocker, and I want to share a portion of my story that begins when I was very young. I was born with a physical disability called arthrogryposis. My body moved differently from the beginning. My joints were affected. My muscles were affected. I'm not physically able to raise my arms above my chest. When I was younger, the doctor told my parents I would never walk, but I completed a 10-mile road race. Doctors thought I would never walk on my own before I was even old enough to understand what that meant. Limitations were already being placed on my life. I had braces on my legs and a bar between my feet, connecting both shoes until I was about 5 years old. While other children were running, jumping, and climbing, I was learning movement in a very different way. I learned to walk by putting my back against the wall and sliding along. To get downstairs, I had to sit on my bum and bop my way down the stairs because I wasn't able to walk down the stairs, down one stair at a time. At the time, I was not thinking about resilience or inspiration. I was simply trying to get where I needed to go. I was simply trying to live. But when I look back now, all these years, many years later, I realized something important was already beginning to be built in me. I was learning that just because I could not do something the usual way did not mean I could not do it at all. So that's something I believe that we all need to recognize, is that we might not do things the same way as other people, but there's always a way to do things. It meant that we have to find our own way. I mean, I had to find my own way. The lesson become one of the most important lessons of my life, actually. I grew up as an only child in a small outport community in Newfoundland, Canada. And being different did not go unnoticed. I was the only person there with a disability, and I was picked on, bullied. I knew what it felt like to be looked at before I was understood. I knew what it felt like to be noticed in the wrong ways, not the right ways, the wrong ways. To just see my disability. But even then, disability was teaching me things people could not always see. It was teaching me patience. It was teaching me creativity. It was teaching me adaptability. It was teaching me how to keep going. You know, when I was 4 years old, I had surgery to permanently bend one of my arms. This arm, my right arm. Might be left on your screen, but yeah. The surgery helped me to do simple everyday things that most people take for granted, like feed myself, wash my face, brush my teeth. Kept my other arm straight because to open doors and things like carrying groceries. It gave me more independence, but it also led to something unexpected. My arm happened to be permanently bent at the right angle to hold a pool cue. So I played pool using just one hand. And it's permanently bent that way, so I was naturally good at it. I remember telling my mother, "Mom, I might not be able to play games like other kids, but I promise you one day I will be the best one-armed pool shooter in the world." Well, I'm not close to being the number one best in the world, I wouldn't say, but I've won a few trophies playing pool using one hand when I was told that I wouldn't be able to do nothing for myself. That moment meant a lot more than just a game. It was one of the first times I began to understand that ability can still exist where other people only see limitations. It was one of the first times I began to feel that disability did not and does not erase possibility. So I practiced. I practiced every day, actually. I worked on my stroke, my holding the pull cue. I kept at it. I got laughed at. I got mocked. But, I kept going. And over time, I got very good. That mattered to me because it showed me something I would carry for the rest of my life. What people first see is not always the truth. That's what I find about disability. People may see your disability, but they don't really get to know you. They see what they want to see. Mm-hmm. Too often, people look at a disability and stop at what looks hard. They stop at what looks different. They stop at what seems limited. But they do not always see what can be built underneath it all. They do not always see the problem solving, the determination, the patience, the creativity, the quiet strength, or the courage that grows from having to find another way. And that is one of the biggest messages I want to leave with people today. Disability is not inability. Doing things differently is not the same as being less than. A person with a disability deserves fairness, dignity, opportunity, and a chance to be seen for who they are and what they are capable of, not just for the challenges people notice first. So as I got older, I kept carrying the lesson with me. I kept finding other ways. I did not let disability define the whole story of my life. Today, I'm an author of 3 books. I'm a speaker. I have built a business, Crocker's Transformative Thinking. You can see my 3 books here behind me. I created a self-paced online course on the platform called Thinkific. I have spoken to audiences, traveled on my own across the wide Atlantic Ocean to Ireland when I wasn't supposed to be even able to walk on my own. Here I am on the other side of the world on my own. And used my voice to encourage others. None of that means the road was easy, because it sure wasn't. But it does not mean that limits others placed on me were never the full truth of who I was or who I am. So when people look at someone with a disability, I hope they will look deeper. Look beyond the first impression. Look beyond the visual challenge. Look beyond the stereotype. Because sometimes the very place where people expect weakness is where strength has been growing all along. That is the portion of my story that I want to share with you today. So that's just a very brief story, and that's what I'm sharing here.
Oh, hello. How's the prep? How's everybody?
I really oh, there I am. Now we're together. You and I have known each other for a while, and now I'm part of the Unleashed community. Blue and green live on forever. And things are happening. I can't wear these t-shirts. You got to make me a dress or something bedazzled, you know. But I really am excited because over the years I have watched you, and then over the years, I talk about inclusion, I talk about accessibility all the time. And what I have valued and appreciated over the years in watching you and seeing the growth is now you're one of the leads out there that are doing inclusion and accessibility at events. Does that mean that it's perfect so far? Maybe, maybe not. But, there's not a lot of events except maybe if it's a disability event, and that doesn't always mean that it's going to be accessible and inclusive. Sometimes it's very siloed. But what I love, and even about our mastermind that's growing, is that inclusion is actually happening. So I'm going to have you take it away, unless you feel more comfortable with you and I chit chatting. But I'm going to have you take it away and really talk about why you felt inclusion was even important and why you have made it a valuable part of about your events and when you're doing event planning now. And
Well, Rox, I love you being with me.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. And I love you being with me. So you can say, you can go, you do whatever. This is your show. You know what I'm saying? You can do whatever
Come
you
on.
want.
We're here.
This is your world, man. We're just all visiting. You know what I mean? So, one, can we give it up for Rox? I'm sorry, I call her Rox. For Roxy.
They all do.
For putting, okay, good. I was like, hold on. For putting this on, taking the time to do this, her and her team, to pour love into people, to give people a platform to be seen, right, and heard. Some of the things I'm going to talk about here in a minute. Wow, you guys have real buttons. Scared me at first. I was like, oh, that was a lot of applause when we get other events.
Reset over there.
Right, I get nervous. Don't surprise me like that. But big ups. We put on some events, so to do this, to take the time, energy to do this, just to help people, just to inspire people, to show love to people. Man, that's one of the greatest acts humans can do. It's to inspire, right? And by doing this, you inspire others, and that's huge. So because you're living your dream, someone else is going to try to live theirs, and that's dope. That's a beautiful thing that we can give others, and you're doing that today. So, mad love for you, and appreciation, and congrats for doing this. This is something your brand now will live forever.
Right? Well, the first time you ever met me in person, what was I wearing?
A neck brace
at an event.
Yeah.
The first time Michael ever met me in person, he met me with a swollen face and my neck brace on. And then
and you asked a question for 45 minutes.
I did.
No, I'm kidding.
And then I showed up at his event. Maybe it was my first year. I think it was my first year. Mm-hmm. Showed up at his event 3 days later. 3 days later, after they allowed me to take the neck collar off. I'm hobbling around Movement Maker Live, which is their professional development speakers program that they do most years, and might be coming up again sometime soon, next year maybe. And and I was there, and his staff accommodated. But then after the years, I watched it get different and better and change. And Michael, how many people with a disability do we now actually have in our community? Almost 5, if not 6.
Right now, I want to say like half a dozen.
Yeah, like a half a dozen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. like there's 6 people inclusively in our community that are all people with disabilities, and we're adapting and we're all doing our thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Link, there's over 70 people in that mastermind, right?
Yes.
And you guys lead, you guys give opportunities,
Mhm.
you guys educate, you guys pour love, right? There's not like the separation. We're one family, and that's
Mhm.
why it's called the family. It's we're not interested in everyone. We're interested in the right ones, right? And the ones with the right heart. I always say it's a heart game. And with the right heart, we can rock. You know what I'm saying? With the wrong one, just stay clear of me. Um, and one of the things, talking to you, talking to Mike Martin Hummel, all
Mhm.
right, and now the rest. You guys are some of the early ones that jumped in.
Yeah.
Now we're having more. Um, One of the things I remember you guys saying was, a lot of times we see a stage we can't even get on,
Yeah.
right? And
I have to hobble up there.
right, and that stuck with me because like we have our events to inspire, right? We have our events for people to go live their dreams, their purpose, their mission, right? That's the purpose of it, right? To grow, to get better, and to learn some of the principles, strategies, and tactics to increase your movement, whatever your movement is. And if someone there can't see themselves on that stage, we didn't do our job.
Mm.
Right. So one of the things we want to do is everybody feels different and acts different when they feel seen and heard,
Yeah.
right, and felt. What I wanted it to was to make everyone with the right heart feel seen, heard, and felt. Right. I hate the phrase "Don't be the smartest one in the room." I hate that phrase. I hate that quote. I think at all times you are the smartest one in the room and you are the dumbest one in the room at all times. Right? There's things Roxy can teach me that she is way ahead. Right? Like brilliant level. And I'm like novice level.
Mhm.
Right? And she can teach me these things. And that means I can learn and gain ground because I'm willing to be open for her to pour into me. Right? For her to do that, she has to feel like that it matters, that she's valued, that she's cared for. Openness and vulnerability are two of the ways we're going to change the world. They have to happen for it to happen. How can someone do that if they're not part of it, if they're not cared for, if they're not poured into, if they're not loved on, if they're not shown they have the same opportunity as anybody else? And anyone that gets in our room, I want them to know they have the same opportunity as anyone else in our room. We don't do a big separation thing. There's not like the big names and the no names. Like we don't do that.
Right.
We're all there. If you speak at one of our events, you stay for the event. You don't hit and run, right? Like you connect with the people. I mean, even names that have been around doing it at really big levels,
Yes.
like Trent Shelton. I mean, he was
Yes.
there for like a day, right? Because we don't let that happen. You don't come and just speak and run. You're never bigger than the room. The room is always the most important part, and that's because the room is the people. And when you actually care, and you take the steps to show people you actually care,
Yeah.
in response, they're going to care back. And that's what we want in our community.
And I've been to at least 3, if not 4, but I've been to 3 of them, right? And
Mm-hmm.
when you're in that room, there's something different going on. People are interacting, looking at each other. And even when you leave, it's fascinating because you didn't know the impact that you actually made while you were in the room. Because people are like, oh, yeah, I was watching you. I was like, they're like, oh, yeah, you're really authentic. You don't lie or hide about who you are. And I mean, and more than once that has been poured into me. I've not been on that stage yet. I'm on my own stages because I create them, but I haven't been on his stage yet. And not because of shyness, but just because life happens. And but even though I'm not on the platform, not centered, nobody watched me talk, maybe I've interacted somewhere or answered a question or something, right? people still notice you in that room. There's something very different that goes on in there. And let me tell you, when it's time to go to dinner, like, who are you going to sit with is not even a problem, because they're like, "Hey, well, how you doing? Oh, come on over, because we're going to go grab that table over there." Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're literally walking down the hallway. Where are you eating lunch? What are you doing? What are you doing tonight? You want to get a drink? It doesn't matter. You go to the bar and you're like hanging out, probably having a half an hour conversation and late back to the room, because you were interacting and connecting in that community. Didn't matter if you had a leg lift, didn't matter if you had a patch on your eye, a neck brace. It didn't matter if you repeated the question 7 times, didn't matter. People saw who you are and still embrace you for who you are. And even and I would say in that family, they pick on each other a lot, but in that family, picking on each other, oh, they pick on this guy all the time. Even in that family, there's an embrace of, we're picking on you, but we really love you. Right? But I mean, talk about inclusion and having to pick where you're going to sit at the table, because nobody's going to not let you sit at the table.
Right. It's crazy to think when you talk about that room, you're talking about a couple hundred people.
200.
Right? Typically around 200, 250 people is the event you're talking about, Maker Live. And right, but yet it's like a family reunion. It's like everyone just knows everyone, loves everyone, pours into it. We call it the family for a reason. It's the family that we wanted to have, or should have, or wish we did have, or had, and we still want more of. Right. And I would say, like, first, Roxy, they pick on me the most. I don't know why. I think it's my charm. Right. But it's because I have some. Everybody thinks I'm bald. I say this, me and a couple of my buddies been like this our whole life. We can make jokes about one another and laugh about it and have fun with it. But someone else tries to, and that'd be a problem. They're not allowed to do it. Only us are allowed to do it. Right. So when you talk about that, the connection is the cornerstone of human existence. The more we can connect, right? The more we can connect with each other, with causes, the more we feel like we belong. It does things to our interior, to the chemistry in which is released in our body. It drops walls. It opens hearts, right? It gives people the ability to feel something deeper. And we all want that. We seek that. We are connecting beings. It is like someone made a TED talk once. It was, connection is the cure to addiction. And someone said to me, they're like, "Bro, you'll love this." And I was like, they're really onto something, but they're just touching the surface. We all want to connect. We all want to feel like we're part of something bigger than ourselves, something that's important, to belong. Right? And if we know that, why would we not actively set the experience, the environment for people to connect, belong, and blossom as themselves? Because here's the deal. We already got me. We already got Roxy Rocker. All right. We got everybody else that spoke, and we got everybody that's going to speak. We already got them. We don't have to be anybody else. We just got to be ourselves. And when we are ourselves, it gives us the opportunity to paint the piece of the puzzle of what we call life, which is the masterpiece we want to create. And the more people we give that freedom to, that often we take from ourselves, this world is going to be better because of it. It can't be worse. Right? Because the more we do that, the more likely someone is to operate from the level of love. And when we operate from that level, the only thing that can happen is good. All right. The problem is when we don't operate from that level, or continuously not operate from that level, then you get into self-image behavior. You get into negative outward behavior, bullying, aggressiveness, meanness. All right. Those things happen because we stay away from operating at the frequency or level of love that we're capable of. So it's all about creating the environment to have the experience, to then live in such a way and act in such a way that can inspire others and give opportunity to others and move this thing forward for the next, which I hope I do for my daughter. And that's one of the main reasons why I go so hard and do what we do, is because I need to move the flag further for her so she has a better opportunity at this game we call life. If that makes sense. But Roxy's amazing. She hasn't spoken on that stage yet, was the key word, yet. Anything you haven't done, just say yet if you want to do it. It's a powerful change. I haven't done it yet. And we are doing another one. Yes, it's we're already selling tickets. So we have to.
It's a room that people need to be in. Like, you have to experience that room. That room, I mean, I want to go back all the time because, well, now I have to go back because, I'm part of the community, but,
Part of doing green, baby.
But, you want to be into that room because there truly is something that's happening in there that is so different. And for weeks at a time, like, you're super high, you're still talking to people still remember who you were, and they're still reaching out to you and being like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? And you're interacting and connecting community. And, isn't that what inclusion is? Isn't that what inclusiveness is? Is that we want to be part of society. Doesn't matter how many walkers, braille or whatever is there, we need to be a part of. We should all be able to come. Shouldn't matter what is wrong with me. Should just matter who I am, and I should be able to get into that room, and I should be able to come to that room. And why? Because it's welcoming. It's supportive. Despite, even if I stuttered, this poor man fell down on the stage. I was the only one that cared about him. Everybody else made fun of him after he fell. But I was like, Michael, are you okay? I'm going to work on you. But, they pick on him. It's not meaning that they didn't love him, but that's the way they be inclusive to him. So
that's their love language. And I did fall on stage.
You should see how they pick on him. But, but we want to have spaces and places that are this. What would you tell or want to educate, and having Michael, Martin Hummel, and I type of people in the world, what would you want to educate to other leaders or even future leaders that could make an event inclusive, Michael?
The number one thing I would say is be open. They say, like, judge a book by its cover. A lot of people in the space are like closed-minded, are very focused on a certain thing, a certain look, a certain way. And one of the things that I feel really separates us is that our team, my team's special, man. They're amazing. They're way better at this than me. I just happen to be here. Is that we are actively seeking ways to be better, right? Like, to be open, to make the room more comfortable, to make it the environment, like we talked about, it's like a plant, where this soil, how can we make this soil healthy with the things we believe create the best experience for the people that are going to be planted in it for a couple of days. So I would think be open to the possibilities, and be very stern in your belief. Last year, the place we were having I'll tell you a story. The place we were having the event at, this is why we had a little disconnect from them. They said, hey, we made a mistake on the measurements of the room you're in. So we had to take the ramp off the stage. And I was like, oh, no. We need the ramp on the stage. There's a gentleman that's going on there to speak that's in a wheelchair. He's going to have to go up that ramp. And the person looked at me and said, can't you just pick him up? I was like, what? Right? I was like, this is a grown man. You want me to just pick him up and throw him on stage and be like, there you go, buddy? Right? Like, I was like, how out of touch are you that's your idea? So I was like, no, we're going to put a ramp on the stage. We're going to move to a room where we can have the ramp on the stage. And they ended up moving us to a room that we did not even know beforehand, nor have the right equipment or stage set up for that size of room. But it was more important for the environment to be set for the people than it was for us to be comfortable with our setup. So it's be open to the amazingness that anyone has to offer, the ones with the right hearts, and be stern in that belief, and that desire to create the experience that everyone can bloom in. And because if we can bloom, then we can spread. And if we spread, that means the magic we have or the greatness we have, other people can receive. And that means they can grow from. Right? But that needs to happen in order for that to happen. So be open. Have conversations with people. Listen. All right. And where you can, do. I love that smile, Rox. Looks right on you.
I'm in super appreciation. I think I'm gonna call you my strategist. You're my strategist and not my coach. And I'm excited about the next chapter because you're seeing this now, and you've seen growth from head injury, neck collar, to now.
Roxy, in a year, you have made a bag, a clothesline, a fashion show, a own podcast, now your own channel, now your own virtual event in a year.
Don't talk about that.
Are you insane?
I know.
Right? Like, you have know how much you've done in a year?
I know.
Right? Like, you know how much you've done in a year?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's amazing. People, you've done so much in this year. A lot of people won't even do it in their life.
Well, thank God I'm doing it because I've got a legacy to work on.
Right, but also like take a step back and just be proud that you've done so much.
Thank you.
And you've done it against odds, and you've done it with haters, and you've done it with people that switched up on you, and you've done it with people that said crazy things to you. All right, and and you've still done it. You haven't stopped. Right. You're an inspiration to anyone that'll listen. I promise.
Thank God, because they just need to listen, even if it's one person that listen, right? Yeah.
Right.
So, Michael, this was fabulous because you're fabber.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you so much. And it was a delight to have you here. And we are now going to move on. And again, I appreciate it so much. But we're going to move on to listening to our inspiring story by one of the fabulous hosts on this network, Tamara L. Hunter. Cannot wait. Thank you so much. And thanks for being here again, Michael. It meant the world to me. And thank you for your kind words. Hello. I am Roxy B. Rocker, and you are at the Embracing Disability Awareness Summit. Embracing Disability is my media company, and I am so grateful to DFN Network with Barbara Beckley for having this right now. I cannot wait to introduce this a lovely woman who I have worked with quite a bit last year, Tamara L. Hunter. I'm so glad to be here with you, and I know you're going to be sharing some amazing stories around your children who are adults. So I am going to offer the floor to you and allow you to take the floor and share your story.
Thank you, Roxy. I appreciate it, and I'm thrilled to be a part of this summit. Too many people don't understand this world, and I'm here to share with you that, you know what, it's around. And I know this world because I was born into it, and then I had children that were born into it. And what do I see it as? I see it as life. When I was born, my mouth wasn't formed right. And so I went to one of those little classes where they helped me to learn to swallow and to talk and all those kind little things. And I had that title that they would often give to you, and went on, thrived, did great, wonderful life. Then I started having children, and I want to talk about one of my children right now. I want to tell you a story about my daughter. My daughter, this cute little girl that's going to preschool, and she's so excited, and she's in her little, uniform, and she goes and she's doing her homework, and she used to read in the bathtub. She had the bathtub books, right? And preparing to go into kindergarten, and it was private school. So I'm like, okay, getting her ready to go, trying to get the uniform ready and all this kind of neat stuff. And I get called into the office, and they're like, she doesn't qualify to be in kindergarten here. And I'm like, really? I think I even said, she can't do crayons and such things, like, what do you do to qualify? They're like, she can't read. I'm like, she reads every night to me. And they're like, have you really watched her? And I thought to myself, maybe not. to that extent. So that night I went home and she's in her bathtub doing her bathtub book. And I'm like, read to mommy. And she's reading to mommy and everything. And I'm like, show mommy the pictures. And so she turns it around. And when she does, it's upside down. She had memorized the book. She had memorized all those little bathtub books, apparently. An accommodation, that is not an unusual thing. So fast forward, we were already, I was living in the state of Utah at the time. And one of the things the private school had said is actually it's a good thing because she'll be able to go into the public school system and they have more resources. I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. We were already a part of what they called the ABLE program up at the University of Utah because one of my other children, I'm not going to talk about, but actually qualified under the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act. Okay. Well, in the ABLE program, I'm there with the other one, and I start to talk about this story, and they're like, bring her in and let's test her. And we found that she couldn't even recognize the A, the D, or the A. She didn't recognize any letters. And they said because of all the testing that they had found, there was a good chance she would never be able to read, never be able to write, never be able to read a check. I mean, they were kind of, unless. And there's a small percentage that do get beyond it. And in fact, the person that was running the ABLE program had exactly the same testing as my daughter did. That gave me hope. She was a doctorate. So anyway, with that, so through school, I ended up making deals with my kids. And I'm like, okay, your mother's not going to get on your, if you do this, you do your very best and then some, and you throw away your trash. And that was not always an easy thing for them to do because, it's kind of easy to want to slide when you feel it's tough and such. But I was that mom that wouldn't give up. I showed up to the school board for private meetings with them, with the school board president and others. They tried to put my kids in an institution even at one time. Guess what? They didn't do it because I knew my rights. You need to know ADA. You need to write it, tattoo it if you have to. And in a really big pinch, if you qualify under it and you're in a place and something's going on, you need to say, I qualify under the ADA. They will treat you different. They have to. It's legal. That is your legal right. That is your legal right. Also, the ABLE program, I want you to write this down too, parents, because I'm here as an advocate. We need to be advocates. They are our beautiful children with gifts and opportunities, and they're so unique and gifted, truly gifted, but you need to be able to help them through it. So with this, the ABLE program nowadays is ran through a program called Achieving a Better Life Experience Act. There's a lot of resources there. So if nothing else, if I've given you any tidbits today, is memorize ADA yourself as the advocate and whoever it is that you are mentoring and helping through. I'll tell you, in my house, we didn't use the word disability. I'll be honest with you, because I saw my kids as having every single ability that they were meant to have and that they could achieve anything as long as they put their head to it, their mind to it, their heart to it, their soul to it, and their feet in action into it. And throw away their trash too. So with that, let's go on. My daughter was then in high school. She was that dutiful daughter, that bright, shining girl. She had, side note, the accommodation that she had in the bathtub, she ended up learning other ways. People had no clue that she had any kind of challenges and qualified under ADA. None. Had an IEP. None. They didn't know she had, all this toolbox of a team to support her, because as an advocate mother, I knew I needed to be the mother And I knew I didn't know what her team knew. So I found the very best team I could to give her every single opportunity that she could have. So she's in high school now. She's going to a school. She has an IEP. She's my daughter, and she knows to show up. Our deal was, because the way that it worked at the school was that you could either graduate with a diploma, or you could graduate for time served, is what we used to call it. It's basically a completion certificate. A certificate of completion is what the actual name of it is. And you get to walk the stage, you get to wear the tassel hat, and you do all that neat stuff. And no one knows the difference, right? Well, I get this call from her, Mom, I'm dropping out. I'm like, you on campus? Yeah. I told her to go talk to someone. And I got in my car and I drove right over and I went to the security guard at the gate and I said, do not, write this name down, do not let her cross this gate. I am here on campus and I am her mother and her guardian. See, you have to be able to also let them know you have every legal right because you use them as their mentor, as their advocate. So I go sit with her. We're on the quad. The office staff knew we were there. People knew what was going on because everybody knew her. She was really that bright, shining child. Young girl, beautiful young girl. She wanted to walk away for the last time. Well, I let her know that wasn't happening on my watch. And she was going to get her, you know what, back in there. And we went person to person to person and we came up with a plan that she was able to feel good about. And then, guess what? The moral of the story? Not only did she walk across that stage, not only was she holding her hands up high, not only did she put that thing up, she had a diploma in there, not a certificate of completion. You see, that day changed everything. Changed her will, her mindset, her goals. And she did it. She did it.
Well, hello, hello. Welcome back.
Hi.
You know, things happen, technical difficulties. I hope you've been enjoying our sponsors. Hello again, and I'm so glad you've been here today throughout our summit. My next guest is such a uh, I brought in some of my people today because it's my first summit. I wanted to be surrounded by my support and people that I can trust and care about and that are also in this world of inclusion. Julie, please introduce yourself. Tell us what you do. And I thought we would have another delightful conversation around accessibility, awareness, and disability education in general.
Wonderful. Hi, Roxy. Roxy, you are just doing amazing. I can't believe this. Well, I can believe this is all happening for you right now because you've talked about this and wanting this for so long. So, first,
Yeah.
congratulations. It is beyond anything that you have described. So, just soak it in for
Mm.
a minute. Well, hi everyone. My name's Julie Lego. I am a Roxy. I'm part of the Roxy fan club, first and foremost. But I actually met Roxy out of the power of networking,
Yeah.
and we talk about that all the time. Of know your village, lean into your village. So I actually met Roxy through Liz, who was first to jump on today, and Liz said you have to meet Roxy, and she was absolutely right. So, little bit about my background. I came to the world of disability because I have friends and family with disabilities and chronic medical conditions. And I was the kid that said, instead of being an artist or a dancer or ballerina, I said I was going to be a special education teacher. And lo and behold, I became a social worker. And I became a social worker because really out of necessity. So, just a very brief version of my story was that my friends and family and I had gone through some very real things like friends and family do. And during that time, I was able to, as a young teenager, able to access support, mental health supports for those things we went through, some very unexpected events in our lives. And I was quickly offered mental health supports, but my friends and family who these things hit much more directly weren't necessarily offered those mental health supports as readily. They were the ones that had losses, very sudden losses at times. And that didn't set well with me. So, social work has been a path of necessity for me to make sure that I am doing my part to bridge the gaps between mental health services and disability services because disability and mental health are the two groups that we are almost all guaranteed to be part of at some point. So we can't discriminate based on labels or groups. Everybody should have access to mental health care.
It's
So
the only minority that every one of us are going to be a part of at some point in our lives. It's the only
you've got
minority.
right. And mental health is right there too. And mental health does not discriminate. We know that people with disabilities are actually more likely to experience mental health needs than people who are not disabled. And
Right.
let's lean into that idea of not disabled for a minute. I love Judy Human. I love anything that Judy Human
Right.
had to say. But I watched an interview with her, and somebody used in the interview used the words neurotypical, and she paused it and she said, "Hold on a second. I want to just share with you that we've heard those words and they've been used, but let's start to reframe how we're talking about people." And she said, "What if we say not disabled? Because you may not be disabled right now, but we don't know what the future will hold, or maybe you're
Right.
not aware of a disability, but it doesn't mean that that couldn't happen. We're not just somebody may not be disabled in this moment, but
Mhm.
we have to recognize that it is something that a population that we could all be part of. Maybe we have been in the past too. So
Well, and I think, so many of the discussions that have been happening here today, you know, maybe we're opening up some people's eyes to see things differently, right? Maybe within that opening of those people's eyes, we're able to really have that conversation about, wait, oh yeah, my cousin. Oh yeah, my neighbor.
mhm.
Oh, well, maybe I could ask them to come to the next dinner and not want to invite them again. And what is and I think the question to society is, what's the hesitation? Somebody asked me today, why am I not scared about being live or doing public speaking? And I said, well, when you've been hurt as much as I have, I said, I said, talking to another human being, they're not going to hit me. They're not going to do anything. Maybe they could name call. I said, but what's the worst that could happen? And if they do, we can mute them or take them down off the screen, right? So, what's the worst that could happen? All of the trauma has already been done. And why do I not be afraid? Because one of the gifts that God gave me was the higher verbal. So low IQ, high talk ability. So what else should I be doing? I should be really probably podcasting, broadcasting, and having TV land, because that's a skill set. So find the skill set. If somebody had an Ogcom device, why can't we have them talking, right? Their braille, why can't we, have that braille, explain that braille, and tell people what's going on? you know if they're in a walker, we'll move some stuff out of the way, and maybe we can figure out how to get a ramp, or and get them into a building together.
The only way we challenge people's assumptions is to be present.
Right.
And I I share when, whether it's when I'm teaching or speaking or just out in general living life, about the idea of the least dangerous assumption. And it was
Right.
an article that was written by Cheryl Jorgensen many years ago. But the idea that it is far less dangerous to assume competence and assume that people can than to assume that people can't.
Right.
Because if we assume people can't, and we're speaking down to them, we're using infantile language, we are ignoring them, well, we could do far more harm than assuming they can, and then finding out that maybe we have to make some changes to better accommodate their needs. I was actually in DC last week at the disability policy seminar,
Mm.
and I was able to go to Hill Day, so go to meet with some of our representatives,
Mhm.
and I was so thrilled. I have it right here in my hand, but um, I went to meet with Jean Shaheen's office,
Mm.
one of her staffers, and he handed me his card in Braille.
Oh.
And that, right? That is assuming competence. That is universal design. That is assuming that anybody can be there to advocate and meet with them. And that is just so powerful to meet people where they're at. But Roxy, by being here, you are helping to break down any assumptions that people can have. And if they want to stick with those assumptions, well, you know what? That's on them. But the people that you're modeling for right now,
Yes.
that's
Well, and this is why, how does the learning disabled traumatic brain injury start a media company? One digestible bite at a time, ladies and gentlemen. And it's again, the other show on another platform is called Embracing What's Possible. And because you are limited by your own whatever. And you know what? Yeah, You might be in a group home. Yeah, you might still be home with parents. But there could be one digestible step that you could take that could say, you know what? I know you don't want me to do this, and I know that you think that I'm unable to do this. But you know what? I'm not asking you to be a rebel. I'm not asking you to harm anyone. I'm asking you to take a bite. Maybe you could teach your cousin, your brother, your family, your mother, your father that you are so much more.
And Roxy, that was why it was so important for me to explore social work, because having being able to be part of the opportunity for people to have a voice and to share their presence and their worth, right? And their ability to play a meaningful role in their communities was just, it was a non-negotiable for me. And it was part of why I wound up developing a model called Bookends Therapy. And I'm so excited. Roxy, I didn't even tell you, it just got its registration mark.
Yay!
Finally. So I certify people in my model called Bookends. And the reason that I developed that was because as a clinician for so long, I had people coming to me, caregivers, whether it was paid caregivers, family members, other professionals, and they were often speaking for the people they were caring for with disabilities. When it came to the people that I was supporting who had disabilities, when in supporting them in therapy sessions, or when I was a DSP, or I started as a DSP.
What's a DSP?
A direct support professional. And you're right, we should not use acronyms, and we lean into them because they all mean different things. So thank you.
Right.
But I started as a direct support professional when I got my working papers. And so that's all I've only been in the disability field, but what I've seen is that there's a norm of talking for people.
Oh, yeah.
Or giving people directives.
Oh,
not
yeah.
giving them the opportunity to say no. Well, why can't they say no? So I developed Bookends as a way to support training for professionals, medical providers, educators, clinicians, anybody that will listen, to be perfectly honest,
Sure.
to say, it's one thing for us to say person-centered. It's one thing to say that person should be leading their services. They should have a voice. It's another thing to say, how do we do this? How do we model it?
Right.
How do we put people in the role and give them the opportunity to teach back, to share what did they hear? How did they hear that information? And tell you how you can support them versus you again going to make that assumption, because let's talk about how dangerous assumptions are.
Oh, the assumptions. Now, we would have to be a to be continued on that because we've just run out of our time, right? But again, truly, I mean, these conversations can, we're going to have a Zoom at 3:00 to have the conversations continue. But these conversations need to be talked about because there's just, this umbrella is large and it's so much. So, Julie, I cannot even thank you enough for your time, for your essence, your energy. Now we're going to have a video to demand and more to come because we need to continue these conversations. And I'm super grateful for you. And I really value and appreciate you in my life.
Oh, I'm grateful for you. And you rocked it, Roxy. You're so awesome.
Technical difficulties, but we work everything out.
You rocked
it. Right? Yeah, so amazing. I mean, talking about something and to see it to come into fruition is more magical than you could ever imagine. Right?
Get it, girl.
Right, it is. Exactly. So thank you again, Julie. We will be chatting again real soon. Now, next, on to our sponsor, and then we have some great stories coming up. Thank you so much.
When the ground starts moving under me and the walls begin to shake, I don't freeze in the falling, I don't fracture at the break. I've learned how to bend with the pressure, I've learned how to hold my ground. Every change that tries to test me only makes me stronger now. Let it move, let it turn. Every fall is a chance to learn. Feel the ground beneath your feet. This is where your strength will meet. When it shifts, I don't quit. When it cracks, I commit. Every break clears the way for something stronger to stay. I don't run, I don't drift. I stand firm in the lift. Every storm that hits, I'm stronger than the shift. I've seen seasons rearrange me. I've watched old foundations fall, but I built from what is left. I don't lose myself at all. There is fire in resilience. There is power in the climb. Every ending writes a future that was waiting for its time. Let it move, let it turn. Every fall is a chance to learn. Feel the ground beneath your feet. This is where your strength will meet. I don't bend, don't break. Every shift is mine to take. When it shifts, I don't quit. When it cracks, I commit. Every break clears the way for something stronger to stay. I don't run, I don't drift. I stand firm in the lift. Every storm that hits, I'm stronger than the shift. Stronger now. Every time it hits, I'm stronger than the shift.
Spent the last 40 years of my career in the modeling and commercial photography and advertising industry. I've owned a modeling agency, I've had a production company, and I've also worked internally at the Hasbro toy company. And what I began to realize just before 2020 and really was brought to my attention was that there was just so little representation of the disability community in mainstream media. And I started digging into it more, looking into stats, and it was kind of appalling. And for an industry that I love, I absolutely have loved to be a part of it. I was like, wow, I think I need to start something to make a little bit of an impact and maybe leave the business a little differently than I found it. So in January 2021, I launched Humankind, which is a model and talent agency exclusively representing children and adults with disabilities for mainstream media work, modeling, acting, and live events like runway shows. So We are licensed here in the state of Massachusetts as a licensed modeling agency, and we really look forward to presenting our roster of talent to brands for them to sort of to realize how important it is to include people with disabilities, because the size of the disability community is an untapped market. It's an untapped consumer market. And I think when I get in and start talking to clients about that, I think there's going to be some light bulbs going off, and realizing by being inclusive that we can really make some changes, not only to what we're seeing in advertising, but for people to see themselves, as they are in that mainstream. I think that's a big part of inclusion.
Yes.
Yes, we are the only resource in New England to find talent from the disability community. There are no agencies, I'm not even sure there's any agencies in this country that exclusively represent children and adults with disabilities. You might have a traditional modeling agency, but they'll have like one person, maybe. So in this case, for me, this creates an opportunity of embracing disability, right? This is where we create a community so that we can extend into the industry as a community, not just one-offs, not just one at a time, but as an entire community coming forward to present themselves for opportunities. And, we really want to try to, educate clients that about the possibilities of inclusive casting and production. But we also really want like local brands and local events to realize that these people are part of the community too. So it's really important we work on, educating our community. I want the models and actors that I represent to be ready. So we provide avenues to create portfolios, acting headshots, resumes, like all of the assets that traditional models and actors use. The models at Humankind Originals are using the same thing, same quality. We're not using iPhone photos from mom and dad. People are coming into professional photo shoots that I coordinate and leaving with incredible portfolio pictures. That's really important to me. So because I want to be on that same level, right? I don't want it to be like, oh, there's the agency with people with disabilities, and it's not coordinated, it's not presented, in a way that our, the creative people are comfortable with, right? So I use the same platforms that professional modeling agencies use, because I want the interface, like how they work within the website, to be the same. Right? I'm not giving them anything different. They don't have to learn anything different to click to see our models. You do the same thing. And I feel like if I can feed them that kind of slowly on a platform and platforms that they're already familiar with, we can begin to make some change. We can begin to, have people think differently when they are approaching their creative assets.
Yeah. And I love how you did not change the platform. You have the platform of excellence, and you're showing that through even the disability community.
Yeah.
You're not just saying, okay, well, let me change this and change that of the look and everything for them because they might be, a different. No, you're saying no. These people, these children, these adults are spectacular, and they're going to get the excellence in the portfolios, just like the regular. Well, I hate to say regular, but the people that
I call them traditional models. Like let's just call them traditional, right? That's what they are.
Traditional models. So I love how you're like, no, we're going to do excellence, just like the traditional models.
Yeah, and that's where I did launch a modeling agency I always say in the 1900s, in the 1990s, and so I know what it takes to build an agency from the ground up. What I didn't really understand was, how do I invite this community in? How do I tell them, I see you and I want you to be a part of this? Because they've never been invited in, right? Like they have never been invited in. And it's really important to me that people understand that I'm inviting you in, and I'm going to give you the materials and the materials that you need to partake in actual castings and auditions for all kinds of work. I think that, it is about this. It's a business, right? This is an industry. And I want to take it very, very seriously and very professionally.
Yes. Now I was going to ask you, Queen Chrissy, with them coming in, like you just mentioned about, because their environment, they're in their mind saying, well, no one ever even told me I can do this. I didn't feel like comfortable doing this. Maybe because of my disability, I didn't feel like I can get to this point. How do you draw them to give them that confidence, build that confidence first? Because I know that has to happen probably before you even get into like the whole other part of it to get their portfolio. How does that work for you?
So I definitely use folks who have already come through our clinics. So I utilize them. I share their stories on social media. I share their successes. We just had one of our young girls filming a movie in New York City over the weekend. And we have another model going to New York City to work with Miss Rachel, which is a child, very popular child toy and woman. She has a TV show or a YouTube show. I don't have children that age, but I've heard she's amazing.
Yes.
And when I tell people that they're going to work for Miss Rachel, it is just super exciting. So again, that's one of the things I do to sort of celebrate that and let people know that we're available. But what I also do is I go to the organizations that support different disability communities. For instance, here in Massachusetts, we have the ARC of Massachusetts, and I believe that is also nationwide. I go to their meetings. I introduce myself. I let those people who are working with these individuals on all different levels know that I'm here, right? I have to prove myself to them. They've never been invited in. They've never had someone say, I've got a door open for you. Come on in. So I think it's important for me to go to those organizations and share with them who I am, whether I have an opportunity to present during one of their meetings, or I just go to introduce myself and hand out business cards as much as I can. I often have a couple of pieces. I have a couple of printed pieces that I've produced that I'm really proud of that really showcase how easy it is to be inclusive with your approach. Beautiful printed piece partnered with a jewelry company in Rhode Island, really created this incredible piece that you don't know it is individuals with disabilities until you finally open up to the centerpiece. I wish I had it here to show you, but maybe I can share it with you somehow. But it's really important for me to show them that and for me to show up. So I spend a lot of time searching out where these groups are having events. How can I join their Zoom meetings? How can I introduce myself? Because I want them to know they're welcome here and that I'm for real. Like, I'm not a scam. I'm not a joke. I'm not going away anytime soon. I'm really, I'm doing this, I believe, for all the right reasons. And I know that it will land with the right people, and it already has. I mentioned those movies. We've also had models do print work for CVS, Staples, Burlington Coat Factory. We had I'm totally spacing on the last one, but we're getting bookings. So the things are happening. And I think that the more we can, build some momentum. I mean, we're here in Massachusetts, so we've been in hibernation for the last couple of months. Coming out of hibernation, more work is happening. And, I'm really on a mission right now to introduce the agency, introduce the talent now that we have a full roster that I feel, we have like over 65 people on our roster. I want that to continue to build because I need all ages across all disabilities, across all ethnicities, right? I want to have it all.
Have a guest, and his name is Tony, and I'm going to introduce him and ask him a few questions. And I am delighted that Mr. Tony Green is here today. My lovely friend Christy, who you heard from or will be hearing from soon, shared with us all about Humankind and the unbelievable casting company that it is. He is a great friend and showed me how wonderful Mr. Tony Green is. So now I get to say hello to him. Tony, will you introduce yourself? Tell us your first and last name and where you're from.
Hi, my name is Tony Green.
Where do you live?
Where I live?
What state? What state do you live? Say that one more time.
Very good. Maryland.
Oh, Maryland. Wonderful. Tony.
Yeah.
What do you want to share with the audience? What do you want people to know about Mr. Tony Green?
I was born April 25th, 1989.
You were born in 1989? Okay. Tony, what do you like to do for fun?
Yeah. I will have to stay with surgery in my entire life. This year will be 36.
You're going to be 35 or 36?
I'll be 37 this year.
Wow, 37. Tony, yeah. 37, that's great.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome? Tony, you have an amazing family. They've been super supportive of you. Your family? Yeah. You love your family?
I do. I feel blessed.
Your family is a blessing? Oh, that's so beautiful. Not everybody has that.
And Bobby, my father. My brother, Bobby Green.
Yeah.
His wife, Seth Lapson. My niece, Kara.
It sounds like, go ahead.
Motica.
How many siblings do you have?
20 cousins.
How many siblings? How many brothers and sisters do you have?
One each.
So there's 3 of you. Sister and your brother.
Yeah,
3.
I'm the baby.
You're the child. I'm the baby too. There's 3 of us. I don't have a nice brother. I don't have a nice brother. He's not a blessing. Ah!
What you saying right about?
My brother's not a blessing, but there's 3 of us. Tony.
My mom have 2 brothers, 2 sisters.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Tony, I've got a really super important question for you.
Yes.
What kind of disabilities do you have?
Mine is the first. Uncle Dick is the second.
Okay.
Aunt Maria, the second.
Wow, you've got a big family that loves you.
The first.
You have a big family that loves you. I think that's amazing. I didn't have a big family that loved me.
My father's side, he had 5 sisters.
Wow.
He's the only one.
Tony, I got a big question for you. What kind of disabilities do you have?
I am deaf. And I have cerebral palsy.
Okay. I have learning disabilities. And a brain injury. And a leg problem.
Yeah, me too.
You've got a leg problem too. We got all sorts of discrepancies. But let me ask you even. But let me ask you a really cool question. Can I ask you a really cool question? You laugh, you joke around, you care about your family. Do you embrace your disability?
Yeah.
You do?
Right now, in the past, I have 34 surgeries in my entire life. 34 different surgeries.
You had a lot of surgeries.
Yeah.
Yeah, me
This
too.
year will be 35th.
Whoa. You've had
Yeah.
more than me, mister. But you know what I like, and I just am getting to know you? You are so happy, and you're so jovial,
Yeah.
and you care, and you smile a lot, and you're excited
Yeah.
about life. And you know what? That's really important because you know how many people with disabilities aren't happy or excited about life and aren't jovial? But you and I, mister, I'm high-fiving you. High five. We're jovial and we're happy about life and we're embracing our disabilities because we're important and we have a lot of value. Do you want to tell the audience why you're so capable and high five? Do you want to tell the audience why you're so amazing and capable?
Yeah.
Why are you capable, man?
Say again, please.
What is your capabilities? Why are you amazing? What have you done, Tony, that you're a pretty amazing man?
I love to help people.
How do you help them?
I love to help disability people.
How do you do that?
I lift their self-esteem up.
Oh. You want to do that too, like I do?
Yeah.
How do you do that? Do you help them are you in a home with other people with disabilities? Or do you live at home with your mom and dad?
I live in a group home.
So do you help the group home members lift them up?
I live by myself with.
Oh, you live by yourself in a group home. So you're in a shared living situation with one caregiver. Can I tell the audience about shared living? Can I tell them what that is?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So shared living is where a person with a disability has somebody that's a caregiver that gets to live with them and help them with accessibility, independent living. Maybe if they can't cook for themselves, they'll cook for themselves, but they're living at home in their own home, but that caregiver is with them almost 24/7. There is time for respite and there is time for family. But this way, Tony gets to live independently because we should be living independently.
Voices rising. Here we go. Every story must be told. We all arrive with something to say. Different roads, different days. Every chapter, every name carries truth that shaped the way. Some are quiet, some are bold, some are waiting to unfold. But every story, when it's shared, leaves a mark because it's there. Don't doubt the meaning of your voice or the words you choose to bring. What you've lived, what you've learned has a way of touching things. Voices rising, one by one, every story's just begun. Say it honest, say it true. What you share can carry through. Voices rising, hear the sound. Every story spoken loud. When our stories come alive, confidence begins to rise. Your story doesn't need to shine or fit a perfect straight line design. It just needs to be your own. That's how hearts feel less alone. When one voice dares to speak, others find the strength they need. What you share might be the spark that helps someone start. got something worth. Every voice belongs right here. When we listen, when we speak, we remind each other we're seen. Voices rising, one by one, every story's just begun. Say it honest, say it true. What you share can carry through. Voices rising, hear the sound. Every story spoken loud. When our stories come alive, confidence begins to rise. Stories crossing, hearts align. One brave word at just the right time. What we speak can lift the room, make a little more space to bloom. This is how connection grows. This is how the message flows. Not alone, but side by side. That's the power of voices rising. Oh, what you share can carry through. Voices rising. Hear the sound. Hear the sound. Spoken loud. When our stories come alive, confidence begins to rise. Say it, lead with it. This is how our stories come alive.
My name is Barbara J. Beckley, and I am a volunteer for this wonderful summit we have today, Embracing Disability Awareness Summit. And this is Roxy B. Rocker's baby. This is what she desires. Her mission in life is to make sure that people are treated in all communities, especially in the Embracing Disabled community. They're treated as human beings. They're treated as a person. And they're not people not looking at their labels, as people call it. So I always like to say embracing ability, because we all have the ability to do what we want to do if we want to do it, and if we fight hard enough and persevere. So with that, we have some wonderful stories throughout the summit. This is one that's going to really be amazing to everybody. I met this lady just a little while ago. We haven't known each other that long at all. We were reaching out for stories, and she came under the Facebook and said, okay, I think I want to be a part of it. And here she is. We've been through some times here, but we're here. We are here. Her name is Leanne, and she's from Texas. And Leanne, please introduce yourself. And we want to hear your wonderful story to empower people.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you for allowing me to be part of this great summit. My name's Leanne Beatrick Brooks. I grew up in South Texas. I now am living in West Texas. My wonderful husband of not so very long moved me out here. Been a big change, but it's a good change. It's it grows on you. So it's a big move for me. But anyway, growing up, I was always afraid of a disease called lupus. Why, I don't know, but I was. A lady that lived out in the country near us, she had it, and everyone called it a 10-year death sentence. So for whatever reason, I was terrified of it. Well, I had gotten really, really ill. Oh gosh, I don't know when it all started, but I finally got diagnosed with lupus beginning of 2018, October of 2018. I'm sorry, beginning of October 2018. And doing all my research, I figured that's kind of what it was. And my doctor said, it's not just a mild case. It's moderate to severe. You've probably had it at least 10 years. Death sentence.
And you didn't know? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but wow.
No, ma'am, I did not. I had no idea. And I had doctors tell me it was all in my head. They checked me for MS. They checked me for Lyme disease. If they could have thought it. And finally, a close friend of mine, she was diagnosed with a mild case of it 6 months prior. And she lived in Houston. She lives in Houston, Texas, and she got me in with her doctor. And, he, I never forget it. He patted me on the leg and he said, "We're going to get you well." He goes, "And when you're well, you're not even going to recognize yourself." And I was like, okay. And he goes, "I get all the pain. I get it all. I understand." And here came all the tears, because you know, when you have other doctors telling you you're crazy, it's all in your head. We all know our bodies, and we all know when there's something wrong, you have to listen.
Yes.
And this wonderful doctor started me on these on this medication, which I wasn't married at the time, and I was like, how am I going to afford it? The medicine alone would have cost me right at $800. And somehow another, my doctor helped me get awarded a wonderful, I call it a gift, and it paid for the medication. So it saved me a whole bunch of money. And I went through that for about a year. During that year, I'll never forget, it was the week after Easter. I got really, really ill, drove myself to the ER, got admitted into the hospital. And I was on, excuse me, a bed alert, like an alarm.
Wow.
Excuse me. And dust, West Texas dust. And yeah, they had me on a bed alarm because at the time I was struggling to stand up by myself then that weekend. And a lady from the church came to see me on Saturday. Her name was Debbie. And she came in there and she brought me a Coke and she goes, you're getting up and you're going to walk. And I went, okay. And I was working full-time, single, you know, I had to. And anyway, the nurse was like, are you sure? And I said, yep. And Debbie's like, nope. She stood me up, and apparently I wobbled because the nurse is like, you don't have to do this. And I said, I can do this. And Debbie got me down the hall and back. And that Wednesday, I had to go have a treatment done because I missed the one on Friday since I was hospitalized. Went to Houston. My older sister went with me. And I told her, I said, I'm driving. First of all, I don't like the way she drives. I love her, but I don't like the way she drives.
I know he's like, I think I got this.
Second of all, I figured if I'm still standing, I'm driving. And I went and had my treatment. The doctor came in to see me. My arms were just black and blue from being stuck so much. I was dehydrated. Veins were collapsing in the hospital. And he came in there and he grabbed my arms. He stood in front of me and grabbed my arms. And I'll say his name. His name's Dr. Pegram. I call him my angel. And he held my hands and he said, this was May 1st of 2019. And he goes, if I didn't know you, I would have thought you were a junkie. And I started laughing. And he just stood there and held my hands. And he said, well, you have any questions? I said, yep, I do. He goes, ask. And I said, how long do I have to do this? And he squeezed my hands and he said, it could be 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years, Leanna. I can't give you that answer. And I just started to cry. And I remember telling him, I just said, I don't want to do this no more. I said, just let the good Lord do what he wants to do with me. I'm good. And he squeezed my hands and he said, give me 3 more. Give me today, which was May 1st. Give me May 31st and give me the one in June. And he said, if nothing changes, I'll let the good Lord do what he wants to do with you. And I said, okay. So we made the deal. And good thing. I went in, I think it was like June 22nd, around that time. They did my blood work. Well, everything changed. My blood work changed for the positive and for the better.
Yes.
Went back in September. I was in remission. By November, there was no sign of the disease in my body, which is unheard of.
Miracle. That's all I can say.
God is good.
God is good. I'm just smiling. My heart is just smiling for you so much right now, Lee. It's just, you got me here. You really did.
Well, and I had a lady once tell me, if you can't tell your story without crying, then you're not ready to tell your story. Well, I disagree with that. And the reason why I get choked up is because I'm so thankful. Yes. I'm thankful because not only did God give me another chance to live, and I don't call heaven, I say I'm healed. with a new life.
Yes.
I have to eat differently. I have to work differently. I work. And I had someone tell me, a couple people tell me, you should you should go on disability. I said, no, I can work. I can lift feed sacks. I can help with cattle. I can work in an office. I can clean a house. Has my work environment have had to change? Yes.
Yeah.
Does it make it a little bit harder to find things to do? Sure. Because a lot of people think it is a disability. I feel like it's been a new chance at a new life.
Wow. God is so good. You know, when we started, I was crying. Like at the beginning, I was like pure tears. You know, God is so good. And you heard from my colleagues, my friends, my people that were here today to support and also give the education around this work. You heard them say and share that I've been talking about these things for a while, right? Today was the day. Leanne, she had a new chance at life. I hit my head. I almost broke my neck, my orbital bone, my nose. I have a new chance at life. So the new chance at life gave me, this is the original magazine. See that face? That's me. This is the original OG magazine. God gave me this, right? And then it turned into Embracing Disability. And I've been dreaming of this summit playing in my head for almost 2.5, 3 years. And there's a lot of people I want to thank. Well, first, I'm going to give all the glory and all of the heart to God. I'm going to also thank my spiritual teacher, Papa, Mr. Felbate. He's my heart. He's beautiful. And I'm so grateful that him and his partner came into my life and they really poured love into me to show me how capable I was. Because the woman that you see today is not the woman that I was years ago. There were some setbacks even coming here. Like there was people hating on me and saying really mean things about me because there was misunderstandings and miscommunication. Because when you have a learning disability, there can be. I'm talking about one subject, they're talking about another, and we're colliding. Obstacles happen. Accommodations happen. Things are what they are. We just saw an Embracing Disability Summit. We heard about people's stories. We heard about Tony and his love, and Christy designing a whole agency around people with disabilities who are models and actors, and they're getting jobs and they're doing things in New York City. I mean, we're remarkable human beings. So I want to thank my partner. I want to thank God. I want to thank my spiritual teacher, Thomas, Papa. And I also want to, my partner, RJ, I want to give Barbara the most greatest accolades and hugs that we worked so many hours together putting this together. And the work that she did today was just tremendous. Larry Rothstein, he is a wonderful human being, lives in the Boston area, and he has a nonprofit that they're doing movies and documentaries, and a lot of stuff to just kind of bring the disability world alive. And his No Limits Media has graciously given me a physical sponsorship, which means that I can collect tax deductible donations on his behalf. And there's a Zephy link that's going around. And if you go to my website, there's a donate now. And I'm just asking if you can donate something. We're going to get equipment. We're going to be building some things so we can give more people with disabilities opportunities to find their voice, to learn about their voice. I want to make more clothes. I want to work with more people that want to make clothes, and I want to bring collaborations together. I want to have intersectionality conversations. Having this today and having resources to do more like this, it's not equitable all the time in the world of disability. It's not always easy in the world of disability. And so I'm trying to raise some funds. And that's why I really worked hard, because I'm going to become a 501c3 between the end of the year and next year. but No Limits Media is giving me that support so I can collect those tax deductible donations. They are a registered 501c3. My sponsors are Christy Raymond, who you saw, Liz Teresa. We have Michelle McQuillan. We have Melissa Simon and Brandy Wells. Whoever I forgot about, Michael Anthony. Whoever I forgot about, I love you. I thank you. And thank you so much for watching. DM me, interact with me. The website is www.embracing-disability.com. And I really appreciate you joining us today. Have a wonderful day.